All right, welcome everybody. We're just going to wait a few seconds for everybody to trickle on in. Okay, we're good to go. All right, well, welcome to today's class. My name is McKenna Blanthorne, and I am the marketing coordinator here at Silhouette America. And we are going to be making a super fun phone case today. And it says Snow Cute on it, and it has lots of snowflakes around it. I think we're going to do a close-up of that so you can get a better look. I have two different variations right here that I've done. This one was all with vinyl, and then this one is the one we're going to be making today, and we're going to use sticker paper for it so you could add the pop of color. And I think they're both super fun, and it's a really cool project. So we are just going to jump right into it because it's a little bit of an intense project. You can totally do it. I know that you're capable of doing it. But it does have a lot of steps and a lot of pieces. So we're just going to jump right in. We're going to start by going over the supplies list that was on michaels.com when you signed up for the class. So first off, you're going to need a Silhouette portrait or Cameo machine. I'm using the portrait machine. You can see it right here. It's super cute, super little. I actually have a Cameo at home, and here in the office, we have a whole bunch of machines laying around that we can use. And whenever I'm here working on things, I always grab the portrait because it's so simple to just pull out and load my letter piece of paper on and cut, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space. So the portrait is awesome for that. It's super cute and tiny. So I'm going to be using the portrait, but if you have a Cameo, that totally works as well. And then you're going to need a blank phone case. So I just picked this one up. It was $4, I think. So a lot cheaper than some phone cases that you can go out and buy, which is super awesome. And it's more fun to customize it yourself. And then it says one roll of 12-inch vinyl. Since we're using the portrait, that if you were using a roll, it would actually only be 9-inch vinyl, but I'm actually just using a scrap of vinyl that I have, and I highly recommend this project for scraps that you have laying around. I don't know if I would recommend going out and buying all of the different parts of the project because it might add up for such a small item, but if you have rhinestones laying around and you have some vinyl laying around, I would definitely recommend this project. And you can also customize it. You don't have to do snowflakes, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the class, but that is what I'm using. And then Silhouette printable clear sticker paper. So I have some of that right here. This is what it looks like. You can pick it up at Michaels or on our website, and it's just plain clear sticker paper. We also have white sticker paper, we have silver sticker paper, but we're going to be using the clear today, and that's because I want the cute sparkly vinyl to show through and make it look like snow. So that is the sticker paper. You're going to need a printer if you're doing the blue rendition of the project, which is what we're all going to be doing today because that is a print and cut aspect. And then you'll need some rhinestones, which are optional, but they add a pop to the final product. And then to put on those rhinestones, you're going to need super glue. And then lastly, you're going to need our two designs that we're using today. So these ones are Silhouette designs from our Silhouette designer. And it's a snowflake and then a snow cute design that says snow cute. It's not a font or anything. It's completely ready to go. And so I'm going to show you guys how to download those because those two designs are actually free right now on the design store. So I'm going to start my screen share. Okay, perfect. And then we're on the internet. This is the Michaels class that I was telling you about, the list. And then I just went to the silhouettedesignstore.com to find the designs. And since they are free designs, you're going to come up here to deals, and then you're going to go to free designs. And we'll just wait for that to load. As you can see, there's lots of new free designs. This 2021 banner is so cute. And lots of other fun ones. A mask, since we all can never have enough masks. I don't know about you guys, but mine go missing, like my socks go missing. I swear the dryer eats them up or something. So here's our two designs right here. We have the Snow Cute design and this snowflake. And I already own the design since I've made this project. So if I didn't already own the designs, I would click on the design. And then instead of download, I think it says buy now. But it's still like a blue button right here. So you would be able to purchase that. But like I said, it's free. So you're really purchasing it for $0. And then our snowflake, you would repeat the same thing. And these are our two designs that we're going to use on our phone case. So those are all of the products that we're going to be using and the different materials. So I think now we can just get straight into it. And I'm not going to lie to you, a little bit later on in the class, we're going to do 3 steps. And one of them is easy, one of them is medium difficulty, and one of them is hard. And just prepare for it. I know you guys can do it. But I just want to warn you, and you will do awesome. And like I said, or I don't know if I mentioned this, but this class is being recorded and it will be available on YouTube. So even if you need to pause it, you obviously can't pause this live class, but you can ask questions in the comment section and I will try and field those questions and answer them. And then you'll be able to watch it on YouTube later on and pause it and catch up and do all those things. So I'm going to go ahead and start my screen share and we're going to jump into our software. All right, so here's our software. I was obviously working on this project a little bit earlier today to just try and practice a few steps for the class. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a new file. And this file, I'm using the portrait machine. So over here in the tab, is my screen share working? Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. All right. So over here in the tab, I'm going to select the portrait machine, which I've already done, and the portrait cutting mat, which I will be using. And then we'll do the media size once we figure out how big our scrap of vinyl is. But for right now, let's just leave it at the letter size. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out the size that we're going to make our phone case cut. So I'm actually going to stop the screen share real quick, and I'm going to show you how I figured out how big to make this. So if I had a ruler right here, which I already measured it to save time, I'm not actually going to measure it for you, but this has some little marks on it, so I'll just use that. But I just wanted to figure out how big this rectangle was and how big this square was. And it was a little bit of trial and error, and obviously you had the measurements were decimal points and they were really small. So that's why we're not going to do it actually in the class, and I have the measurements written down for you. But it's not too hard. You'll just take your ruler, you'll measure the length and the width, and then you'll also measure the length and the width for this little square. I have the iPhone 11. It's the same as the iPhone XR, I think. And so if you have that one that has this square, a lot of them have this little square. So you would be able to use the same measurements. But if you have a different phone, that's totally good. And you would be able to figure out the measurements for yourself. So I'm going to start the screen share again. And then we're going to make our phone part. So I'm going to come over here to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to select the rounded corner rectangle, and I'm just going to draw a random rectangle box because I can't draw it at the exact size. But then we're going to come up here to our width and our height, and you want to make sure that it's unlocked. If it's locked, it's going to stay this square shape, and we don't want that. So make sure it's unlocked like mine is. And then the width for the whole rectangle is 2.881. And then the height, the height is 5.877. Okay, so it kind of looks like a phone right now, kind of not. But what we're going to do is you can go ahead and mess with the corners however you want. I think that looks pretty identical to a rounded corner phone case. So I'm going to leave it just like that. And then I need to make my little square where my camera is. So I'm going to draw a smaller square, and then I'm also going to make sure it's unlocked up here. And I'm going to do 1.25 was the width, and 1.313 was the height. You think it's a perfect square, but it's not. I was actually really surprised. And then you are going to put this very, very close to the top right, or sorry, I guess top left corner for me. Depends on how you're looking at it. But so I'm just going to put that right up next to it. If you wanted to, when I made my original one, I did measure the actual width, and I want to say it was like a 1/16 of an inch. But if you don't want to do that, we're not putting any content or design up in that corner, so it's not super necessary to have that exact measurement. So I'm just gonna put that up there, and now you have a phone case, so which I think is super fun. So one thing that I recommend doing, because this is a snow cute phone case, but you're probably gonna wanna change that out once summer comes around, or maybe you don't live in a snowy place. So one thing that I like to do once I have my phone shape is I like to save it to my library. And I'm just gonna come down here and just do phone. Here, I guess I'll do iPhone 11 phone case. And then it will save that shape for you in the future. So you can already have the hard part done of making the phone case. And now we get to do the fun part, which is the design. So I'm going to go ahead into my library. And like I said, I've already downloaded the designs. If you just barely downloaded the designs, you're gonna go down to the sync button down here in the corner and go ahead and press that. And it should bring up your design if it hasn't brought it up already. So I have lots of designs on my library. I obviously use my machine a lot. So rather than sorting through all the designs and trying to find it, I'm just gonna type in snow because I think both of them pop up when I do that, and they do. We have Snow Cute right here and the snowflake. So let's double click the snowflake. And we're just gonna drag it off to the side right now. Obviously it's way too big right now. And then we're gonna go in the library again and double click Snow Cute. Also way too big. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna make Snow Cute the right size. As you can see, the snowflake already has like a 2-color tone to it. We're actually gonna end up needing to do like a 3-layer system. But I'm just gonna color our snowflake. So it all went blue because it's all selected. So I need to ungroup it, which is this button up here. So I have it selected and I'm just gonna ungroup. And then I'm gonna click right in the middle and I'll just make my snowflake white. So this is kind of what we need to do with the Snow Cute part. So we are going to come over here and we're going to make the Snow Cute white, and then we need to create an offset. And this is one of my favorite tools in Silhouette Studio because it makes it so easy to add a border around it, which I think makes the color pop all the time. So I do that with almost all of my projects. So I'm going to click this offset button. And as you can see, it adds an outline around it. And I'm going to pull away the Snow Cute for a second because it does have these few little empty spaces. And in order to get rid of those, I need to right click and then I hit Release Compound Path. And I'm just going to select those and delete them. And then since we know this is going to be blue, I'm going to make it blue. And then this is already white. And so I'm going to select both of them and then center it with my Align tool, which is up here at the top of the toolbar. And it's perfectly centered. Perfect. So this still looks a little bit big. So I'm going to shrink it down a tiny bit. And I had mine at a slight offset. So I'm going to go ahead and tilt it a little bit and then put it in the middle. And we can definitely, I don't know if I've grouped these two. Nope, I haven't. Okay, so I'm going to group those. And then I'm actually going to duplicate my phone shape and just put it off to the side. And I do that by holding down the Alt key and then just dragging it to the side. Okay, so then we can visually center this now. And it was pretty close. And then I'm actually not going to vertically center it because I want it to go along with my snowflakes, and my snowflakes are going to fill up the space. So if you wanted to, you would be able to center it on the phone or in the space below, but I'm just going to leave it like that. That worked out pretty well for me. So then we're going to grab our snowflake and make sure it's grouped. And then we are going to shrink it down. And you can really do whatever composition that you want for your snowflake. I'm just following the example that I made before. And I had 3 different sizes of snowflakes. I had this big one, and then I hold down the Alt key and drag it to make a duplicate. And then I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. And then I think I'm going to rotate it. Let's put it there. I'm going to rotate this one a little bit too. And then I even had one that was smaller than that. So I just hold down the Alt key and make it small. Adds a nice little accent to it. Okay. Maybe add another small one right here. And then we'll do one more small one up here. Okay, perfect. So this is, in essence, our phone case. But now we're going to chop off all of the side pieces that reside outside of our rectangle. Actually, before we do that, we're going to create the white border. So that's just creating one more offset. So you can just select all of your pieces. And this is just going to be that white piece of vinyl that outlines everything. And you're going to go back to your offset tool. Oh, not that one. This one. It's the star. And then you're just going to do one more offset. And it might take a second. Okay, that didn't work how I thought it was going to, so we're going to try it one more time. All right, I think it's because we need to ungroup our snowflakes, which is okay. Better that this happens on the screen when I'm showing you guys than when you're doing it by yourself and then you can't figure it out. I always like when things go wrong in the class, I guess you could say. All right, so I don't want it touching. I'm sorry, we got the rainbow circle, but I don't want it touching, so I'm going to decrease my offset a little bit. I think that looks good right there. So 0.045. And we're just going to leave those white. So I'm going to repeat that process with my other snowflakes. Just going to ungroup them, then select the blue parts, create an offset, and I want it to be the same, so 0.045. And then lastly, we're going to do it for our snow cute. And that one's going to be a little bit bigger than 0.045. 0.125 is still a little bit too big for me. Let's say 0.7. I like that. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So what we're going to do now are those steps that I told you about that are the easy step, the medium step, and the hard step. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the sides of the snowflakes down for our different snowflakes. So it just looks like a phone case in itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this 3 times at least. We'll duplicate it 3 times to start. So I'm going to pull one over here, and then I'm going to make sure you have everything selected. The easiest way to do that is draw a rectangle across the whole thing. Then I'm going to pull it again over here. All right, so the first step we're going to do is the white vinyl, which is the easiest step. This is considered our easy step. So what you're going to do is you're going to click you're going to get rid of your blue and your snowflakes. So go ahead and click and get rid of those. Oh, that one we didn't get an offset on. Okay. All right, and if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we will go about answering those. So we have our white section now. So what we need to do is we want to cut off all of these side parts. So to do that, I'm going to take the knife tool. It's over here. It's second from the bottom on my screen. And I'm going to hold down Shift and just draw right along my outline of my phone case. Oh, I forgot one thing. Or maybe not. Yes, perfect. And don't worry that the phone outline went away. That's why we duplicated the shape at the start, to kind of have that to help us. And we're not going to do the ones that have the corner. I'm going to show you how to do the corner in a few minutes. That is one of the tricky parts. So we're just going to go around and cut the straight sides. Okay, so those are our straight sides. I'm going to go through and delete them. Okay, and then we need to do the corners. And I always have to do a little bit of trial and error with this one. So bear with me if it doesn't work right on the first try. So I'm in the modify panel and I selected my snowflake shape and my outline. And I'm going to use the divide tool, or let's see if that works how I wanted it to. So I'm going to ungroup it after, I'm actually going to use the subtract tool. So I have my snowflake selected and my outline on my phone, and I'm going to do subtract. Nope. I think this did what I wanted it to. Okay, we are going to use the divide tool. I lied. Okay, so you're going to select your snowflake and select your outline, and then click divide, and it's going to split your shapes. So then you're able to delete. I don't know why that isn't wanting to divide. We'll come back to that one. Let's see if we can do it at the top. This one, I know for sure we're going to use the subtract shape. It can be easier if you make these a color. Sorry, we're just waiting for that to load. All right, so I'm going to make that pink. Oh, okay. I know what our issue was now. Okay, so you need to make sure the line is on the top. So right now you can see it's behind the pink snowflake, so we need to press bring to front. And that will solve our issue. I'm actually just going to undo that divide that we did down here. I guess the best way I can think of to explain that is, I guess like if you have a pizza and you're cutting a pizza, you don't want the liner like of the pizza tray to be on the bottom. You want the pizza to be on the top. So like the snowflake is our pizza. We can't cut through the lining part. So I'm just going to put a color on it to make it easier. All right, so now we're going to be able to modify this. All right, so let's do divide. Nope. Okay, don't worry that it took away the outline. Like I said, we'll be totally fine. We will be able to fix it. So I'm just dividing these and taking away those pieces. Okay, let's subtract this one. All right, I think that worked for us. Yes, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make that white again, and then make this part white, and then I'm going to delete all of our random lines around that we have. Okay, perfect. So we have our square right here, and we're going to cut this right off the bat. So I'm going to go to the send panel, make sure it's all lined up and cut how it's supposed to be. And then I'm going to stop the screen share, to show you how to set that up. So like I said, I'm just using a scrap piece. So I'm going to just kind of look at where this needs to be. I guess I'll lay the phone on top of it so you guys can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it in about half with my little cutter. Okay. And the glitter vinyl is a little bit stiffer than the other vinyl. So we're going to need to do 2 passes on it, which is why I'm going to start cutting it right now so that we can start working on the other stuff while it cuts. So I'm going to take the sticky part, the protector, off my mat. And then I'm going to line this up with the corner, the sticky part of the mat. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and press it down with this. Okay. And then I'm just going to come over to my machine. And when you're using the portrait, you're not going to load it on this first tick mark. You're going to load it on the second tick mark that has like 3 right in a row. You're going to line it up with the first one. And then our media size is like a little bit over 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead back into my screen share. And we're just going to, well, you can update the media size. You don't have to. And after this, I'm going to be doing letter size paper. So as long as you make sure it's not more than 4 inches wide, we're going to be golden. So I'm just going to line it up closer to the top and then come into my send panel. And I'm obviously not using plain cardstock. I'm using glitter sticker, this is vinyl. So I'm going to come in here and do vinyl. Oh, yep. Let's see. Okay, now we're sharing the screen. Okay, so I have vinyl glitter up here and it's going to cut it on a 4, but just in my experience when I was making this, it didn't cut through enough for me. So I'm gonna have it do 2 passes. I'm gonna leave my settings the same and we'll see if that will work for us. It does look like over here, you can see that our shape didn't close off. So let's go ahead and one thing that I like to do that just makes it easier to weed and line up is just line it up with. I'm actually going to cut out one of my phone cases, even though it's not like necessary. We're not going to use transfer tape or anything like that. It just cuts off the parts that I'm not going to use. Okay. So as you can see, now we have a line around everything. So we're good to go. And then I'm just going to move the zoom thing. Okay, and it says checking connection. Let me unplug it and try and plug it back in. Okay, there we go. So, all right, it's syncing with the machine. Oh, now we're ready. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this bottom portrait. We have a lot of machines in our office, as you can tell. So there's a lot of available ones. And then I'm going to send it. Okay. So that's going to be cutting, but as it's cutting, we're going to be setting up our next step for sake of time. So I'm going to start my screen share again. Okay. And then, so that was our easy step. And now we're going to be on the medium step, which is the blue part. So I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side. And then we're going to bring one of these over. And the first thing that we need to do is get rid of the white pieces behind it that we're cutting right now. So just go ahead and click through and delete those white pieces, the background. Not your snowflake, just the background. And it can be a little bit temperamental when you're trying to select it. Sometimes it selects the blue, and I haven't figured out a way to control that. I just have to click again and get rid of it. So if it happens to you, don't worry, because it happens to me too. Okay, so then after that, we're going to ungroup our snowflakes. Oh, that one's already ungrouped. Maybe they're already ungrouped. Okay, I think we're good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to duplicate this part. So I'm just going to add one right over here that we're going to use next. And if you don't remember how to duplicate, all I did was press the Alt key and drag it. So we're going to be working on our blue part. So we're actually just repeating the step we just did with the white, and then we're adding one other little step at the end. So what we're going to do is the exact same thing. So I'm going to bring my shape to the front and then grab my knife tool. I'm going to do these at the same time. We have a little guy that got left over here. Okay, and then we're going to do this snowflake, which always went easier. I think it's because it has the 3 shapes. So it always just worked really nicely. And I am going to get rid of those tiny little pieces. We'll do that in a second. And then we're going to do our pieces the same way we just did them. So we're going to divide. Oh, whoops, I think we did subtract. No, maybe not. Okay, this way works too. This is also a way that I was doing it before. I think I just forgot to ungroup. Sorry about this, guys. This was not happening before. Oh, I think I forgot to select it. Okay, we're going to do it this way. This must just be a really big file because my computer is being fairly slow with it. Okay. Okay. Sweet. And we just checked our white pieces and they worked perfectly. So that's great news. So it works down here. I'm just going to do the snowflake. I'm just going to grab another one and line it up over here with my other piece. Okay, this will work. I'm not sure why it wasn't working before. It did lose its color, but all we have to do is make it blue again. Okay, perfect. Oh, and we somehow lost our blue snow cute piece. I'm just going to bring another one and ungroup it and bring it over. And we'll make sure that lines up in a second. Okay, so there's our blue piece. This was the medium piece. And then the snowflakes is the hardest piece. And that's just because they're piecey. They just have a lot going on. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I'm going to get rid of the blue pieces. Okay, and then we're going to repeat the same step. Just going to draw these cuts. Okay. Make sure I get all of the little pieces that are outside. And if you miss one, it's not a huge deal. You could always cut it with scissors if you missed one. All right, and then we need to do our lovely dividing one more time. But this one we're going to do a little bit different. This one will do the same, the middle piece. Okay, middle piece is good to go. And then we are going to do this one a little bit different. Like I said, I'm going to take the snowflake that I need to divide, and then I'm just going to take my pieces, and I'm just going to copy that over here. And then I'm going to take my lovely Mr. Phone outline and line it up again. Okay, and then we're going to put that on the back. And I'm going to delete those random lines that I had. And then I'm also going to delete this square. And then we're going to do this in, it kind of feels like an opposite way of how you would think about doing it, but it was the best way with something that had pieces. So I'm going to bring that rectangle to the front, and then I'm going to draw 2 more rectangles that cover the corner. And I'm going to make those blue. It doesn't matter what color that you make them, but it's just to cover the corners. And then you want your rectangle to be on top still, your pink rectangle, and then you're going to select all 3, and you're going to use the subtract feature. The divide one, sorry. And then you're going to select the pink and delete it. So it will leave us with this, which is kind of like an inverse of what we thought we would need, but this is the best way that I found to do it. So then I'm going to select the blue corner with the big snowflake in the upper right and divide that. And then it gives me these weird pieces that I just need to delete. Got a little bit caught up. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and group those. And then the same thing down here. Okay. All right, perfect. So then we finally have our hard snowflakes. And then we're going to go ahead and line these up with our phone case. So I'm going to just come up close and then line them up with my arrow keys as best I can. I think that looks pretty good. So then I'm going to take the other snowflake that was there and delete those by just clicking the outside. So we finally have our cut area for our snowflakes. And then I'm going to delete our outside lines that are broken and messy. And then I'm going to put this phone back on top of it. I can go ahead and group these objects. And these are going to be part of a print and cut. So they are not going to be actually cut because our blue part is going to be cut. So while I have this selected, I'm going to go to the send panel. And right now, everything with a red line around it means it's going to cut. And I'm just going to select no cut. And that will help me later on when I'm layering my stuff. So we have this one, and then we're going to go ahead and put our blue piece Was this our blue one? Yes, okay. So we're going to go ahead and layer all of these together again. So I'm going to select all three, and then I'm going to use my align tool to vertically center them, vertically and horizontally. So they line up perfectly. The only one that we have a little bit of problem with is this blue one, because I just had to place it. So I'm just going to select it and lower it down. All right, and then for the last step before we're ready to print this, sorry, there's kind of two more steps. We need to add bleed onto our blue part, and I'm going to stop my screen share and show you what I mean by that. So as you can see, we have these blue stickers, but we don't want it to have a blank edge. So these are some other stickers that I made, and you can see the blue outline around it. When I peel it up, there's still a blue outline, and that makes it so it doesn't leave a blank edge. So we just need to add one more offset that's blue that will help us in that part of the process. So I'm going to screen share one more time, for now at least. And then I'm going to select these blue pieces. And while these are selected, let's go ahead and group them, and we're gonna make these cut lines. So these ones will for sure cut no matter what. And then we're going to go to our design and then go to our offset, our star panel down here, just click offset. Okay, and it doesn't matter if this one overlaps or if it looks wonky to you. That's what it's supposed to look like because you're not going to see it in the finished product. It's just to make sure that we don't have any lines, any like blank white lines. And cut lines are actually going to be no cut lines. Or sorry, the bleed lines, we don't want them to cut. So as you can see, I just selected them and I selected no cut. So then we get to layer this design together. And now since we added the bleed, we can't just align it ourselves. We have to do it with the tool, we have to do it manually. So it looks good. You can zoom in really close to make sure it's lined up where it's supposed to be. Okay, right there looks good. So I'm going to zoom out and then I'm going to go to the send panel just to make sure that I just have that blue line that's going to cut. Right now it says the phone is going to cut. You could cut the phone if you wanted to. It's totally not necessary. I'm actually going to remove that piece. That was part of the blue. So I'm just going to go to these pieces and tell them no cut, just because this does take a little while to cut and I want to make sure we have enough time to assemble it. All right, so at this point, you would be able to print it out after you add the registration marks. So you're gonna go, since it's print and cut, this is how your machine knows what to cut. You're just gonna go to this first page and then you're gonna go to the design area setup. And once it stops with the loading or the rainbow circle, we'll be able to put our registration marks on. Okay, so you're just going to click that and then you're going to click on, and you want to make sure that none of this is in the cross-hatched area. So that is ready to go. I like to always do 2 just because that helps me in case one doesn't cut through all the way or I rip one, something like that. I'm going to stop the screen share. And so as you can see, so I already printed mine out because if you're using the clear sticker paper, you want to let it dry for a little bit. So I printed mine out a little while ago and it's even still a little bit wet. So we're going to hope that it works okay when it cuts. But the trick to doing this is just to make sure you line it up with the tick marks on the sheet. That's the way you're going to get the most exact cut, I guess you could say. So as I'm pushing it down, I'm being really careful not to touch any of the printed areas because I don't want it to get smudged. And you really do not want to smudge your tick marks up here. If you do that, the registration marks won't be able to be read by the machine. So I'm just pushing it down, making sure it's nice and sticky. Then I'm going to load it in. And this one, you might notice, is going to be a little bit different than the one that I'm doing with you right now because I needed to print it before the class started. So we're going to go to share, and then I'm actually going to go to my original file that I made because that's what I printed it off of. And I'm going to go to send, and I'm using clear sticker paper, so we're good for that. And I found that the regular cut settings worked perfectly. So we have our correct cut line. That looks great. And so I'm going to go ahead and send this, and then we will be on to our assembling part. Okay, and then I'm going to stop the screen share so you can watch it cut. And we're actually going to take this white vinyl that we used, and we're going to put it on the actual phone. So this is why I like to cut the actual phone shape, because it makes it easier when you are weeding it. It won't be in as many pieces, or it will be in smaller pieces. And then it just makes it easier to peel up and kind of see where your pieces are going to go. All right, so that's how it looks when it's on the paper. It's white, so it's a little bit hard to see. And this, if you wanted to use transfer paper, you could. I do not have a good relationship with transfer tape all the time. So this is sticky and firm enough, and the shapes are big enough that I don't need to use transfer paper. I can just peel it off like any other sticker and then line it up with the corner of my phone case. So that's what I'm going to do for that one. And then if it's not exact, you're totally fine. It's all for fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and place these. This one looks like it goes along the side. Okay. Then we're going to put this one right along the bottom. That one had a slight curve to it. We almost could have just used the knife tool for it. Okay. And then this one is a little bit offset. And it looks like I did put it almost all the way to the edge, so it's definitely more off to that side because we don't want it to overlap with this little snowflake. There we go. All right, so there's our white pieces, and then we could wait for these to finish cutting. I'll show you the finished product when they do come out. But for the sake of time, we're actually just going to stick on my one that I already have cut minus this one. We'll need to use this one because I needed to use more than one. This is why you always cut two. And so I'm just going to peel this up. These ones are very dry because I made them, I don't know, about a month ago. And you're just going to go ahead and line it up the best you can. Okay, these ones are actually different sizes. Okay, these ones are different sizes. I must have adjusted the file, so we're gonna need to wait till that one's done cutting. I don't think I'm going to have time to show you guys how I put on all of the rhinestones, so I'm gonna show you the process at least while we're here. So I have my rhinestones right here, and I'm just gonna dump a few into the top, the lid. And then I use super glue. You could use any kind of super glue you want. This one is Loctite, but you could use any kind that you have. And this is the Silhouette Pick Me Up tool. This is also totally not necessary. You could use whatever you have lying around, but it makes it really easy to just pick up the little rhinestone. Didn't get a good grip on that one. Okay, and then I would be able to just put a drop of super glue on the end. And then I'm just going to stick it right on my phone case. This one doesn't have any rhinestones on it, so I can show you right here. This is what I use the tweezers for, because it's a little bit sticky, the pick-me-up tool. So I'm just going to add my rhinestone and then like pinch it off with the tweezers a little bit. And then I'll show you again with this one. And remember guys, this is being recorded and it's going to be available on YouTube. I know that we ran into a few hiccups, so it didn't go quite as fast as I had planned. But that's okay, because now if you run into those same hiccups, you'll know how to fix them. So I really like these just plain like diamondy rhinestones, but you could use any rhinestones that you had. I think it would also be fun to do colored rhinestones. I think that could be fun. All right, our stickers just came out of the cutter, so let me make sure that they cut good, and they did. They came out perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and unload those so we can put them on. And if I were just doing it by myself and I had all the time in the world, I would go ahead and take this off the mat. But since we're not going to be using the mat again in the class, I'm just going to leave them on for the sake of time. I like to trim it down to the smaller sticker paper size like I did with this one. I did that for each one. So that can be helpful when you're taking it somewhere, things like that. So we have the, oh, okay. Well, I just had a realization that this is a different composition than we made our stickers for. And that is why it wasn't going on. So that makes sense to me now, because we made the vinyl piece on the other machine. I can go ahead and cut that vinyl though. All right, we have this piece. We're going to go ahead, see if we have enough time to fix it. So we're going to need to cut the vinyl piece that I made so it lines up with our stickers. All right, so I'm in my design. I already cut my stickers, so I can move these off, thank heavens. And then this is what I need to cut now. And we can turn our registration marks off. Yes, okay, this will line up with what we're doing. Okay, we're gonna select glitter, vinyl. And then we do need to do 2 passes on it, but this should cut super quick. Okay. All right, so we're gonna send that. And then while that one's cutting, I'll just show you guys how to put the rhinestones on this other one, since I know we won't have time to do that one. So I'm just putting the glue on the end of the rhinestone, taking my tweezers, and just laying it right in. So this one, when I made it exclusively with vinyl, and it was a great project. I think it turned out super cute, but it did take even longer than this one did, which is why I chose not to teach it for the class. And it looks like we can add one here. If you had small rhinestones, that would work for these too, for the smaller snowflakes. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the reason this class is phone case themed is today is National Tech Day. So Michael's asked us to do classes that were like tech themed. So that was how we came up with this class. So kind of a fun little trivia about January 6th. Is it the 6th day? Okay, and then I also wanted to mention that Michael's right now is sponsoring kind of like a small business initiative that's all about crafting and learning how to kind of turn your crafts and your hobbies into a small business, which is super awesome and super fun. And they're sharing so many good tips during this time, and you can go ahead and check it out and learn lots of new things and like how to share your business. So I also wanted to show you, since I have to take the vinyl off this one, all of the vinyl would come off this easily, which is why I wanted to do a clear phone case, because it leaves me with a completely blank template next time I want to do it. Okay. All right. So let's see. I think this went through twice. Yes. Okay. So we're going to unload this. We might have time to finish it if we just throw it together. We'll see. Obviously, with yours, when you're doing it, you're not going to want to just throw it together as fast as you can because you want it to look nice and you want to be proud of what you made. Okay, so it actually cut really well, it looks like, for the most part. Do we have any scissors in here? There we go. Okay, so this one is actually going to fit the pieces that our stickers are. The other one would have fit the pieces that we made today together if I would have had a printer in here. I don't know why I didn't realize that before when we were putting it together, but I guess the class just went along and I was having so much fun with you guys that I forgot. Okay, so this one looks like they're sticking a little bit different than they did last time, which is totally fine. You just have to be gentle with it. Let's see. Okay, there we go. There's all of our pieces. Okay, so we're just gonna plop these on super quick. I'm glad that I showed you the rhinestones when we were waiting for this to cut, because now if you want to use them, you totally have the option. I want to thank you guys for joining us today here at Silhouette. I know we ran into a few hiccups, but like I said, I would rather run into the hiccups during the class, as crazy as that sounds, than have you guys trying to do it at home by yourself and getting flustered and giving up. And I know that if things like this happen, I often just want to get flustered and give up. But I'm so glad that I was able to kind of work through some of those with you guys and learn how to fix the problems, because they're all really small issues. It's usually user error, like what little mistakes that I make, even though we want to think that the machine is just too complicated. But that's usually the issue. So it looks like we actually have 1 minute. So I'm going to go ahead and peel these and put them on. And the stickers are just so easy because they just plop right on there.
Someone asked, can we add epoxy to it after we protect it?
Yeah, you could definitely do that. So I have been using this one, and what I did was I just added, it looks like we forgot to add that piece up there. That's okay. I just added super glue underneath my stickers, and it has stayed perfectly. It hasn't really had an issue or anything. So the stickers will wear off if you don't do anything to it. But if you wanted to do epoxy, if you had experience doing epoxy, that would be a super good idea. If you don't know what epoxy is, it's like a clear doming plastic kind of that dries on top of it. All right, I'm not putting these on very nicely because I'm in a rush, but like I said, you guys's will look perfect when you're done. Okay, and if there's any other questions, we can definitely take those real quick.
I don't see any questions, but do you have any tips for like keeping the phone case looking nice, like fresh?
I would just wipe it out with a Clorox wipe on both sides. Every time you take the design off, I would clean it really, really well with like dish soap or something like that, and it will stay new. I've taken this one that we like made the example with. I've like taken it off and used it a couple times, and it's not sticky or anything. It literally is just like a blank slate. So that is what I would say for that. And this actually isn't a real phone. It's just the paper, but it looks real. Okay, so if nobody else has any questions, I just want to thank you guys for joining us today. And remember that you can watch this class again on Michael's YouTube. They'll be posting it within a few days. And the Silhouette social media channels will post it when it's available. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.